Have you ever gotten a haircut, looked in the mirror, and felt something's off? Not because the stylist wasn't skilled, but because that hairstyle, on you, doesn't look like what you imagined. It makes your chin stand out more, makes your face look rounder, makes you feel like you're trying to look youthful, but it doesn't feel comfortable at all. I see this all the time, especially with clients over 55. They come in with a gorgeous reference photo, but they don't know if that style actually suits their hair texture, their face shape, or their daily lifestyle. This video isn't about telling you which style to choose. It's about helping you avoid the styles that don't work for you, the ones that look beautiful but make you feel like you're not yourself. I'm going to show you 5 trending bob hairstyles along with specific considerations for each, based on what I've learned from cutting hair for hundreds of women in your age group. If what I'm about to share resonates with what you're wondering about, you might want to hit subscribe or share this with a loved one. Maybe they're also hesitating over a small decision that could have a big impact. Let's get started. The first style sounds elegant, retro, but in reality, it's not as simple as the inspiration photos. Style 1. Flip-up bob. Nostalgia. Not meant for everyday life. Among the bob hairstyles making a strong comeback recently, the flip-up bob is perhaps the most captivating. It carries the imagery of the 1960s sends curled outward, full of charm and classic elegance. And I understand why so many older women are drawn to it. It's not just a hairstyle, it's a reminder of youth, of refinement, of a time when stepping out of the house meant showing up beautifully and confidently. But the flip-up bob has an issue that's rarely discussed openly. It's not a hairstyle that thrives in every everyday situation. I remember a client named Judy, 67 years old, who came to me with a magazine photo. She wanted that exact style: outward curled ends, lightly voluminous bangs, looking very sophisticated. We executed it perfectly. But just a week later, she came back. Not for a touch-up, but to be honest. I feel like I'm wearing a ball gown to a morning trip to the market. The flip-up bob requires a delicate coordination with clothing, makeup, and even your overall demeanor. It looks stunning with a silk dress, a tweed jacket, or pearl earrings. But in everyday life, jeans, a cardigan, sneaker set can create a subtle but nagging disconnect, and the shoulder-length cut makes this even more apparent. The curled ends can easily flip the wrong way, lose their shape, especially if you don't have time to style it every morning. This is a hairstyle that demands attention. And if you're not ready to commit to it, mousse, round brush, blow dryer, a little wrist action, then the flip-up bob can betray you. It doesn't offer that effortless, easygoing feel it demands. And for many people, especially after 60, a demanding hairstyle might be the last thing you want to add to your morning routine. So, the flip-up bob isn't a bad hairstyle. It's just not for everyone. It's for those who still enjoy styling their hair every day, have a fashion sense that aligns with a polished retro vibe, and are ready to nurture that elegance with every brushstroke. But if you need a hairstyle that fits you, your face, your schedule, your current lifestyle, then you might need something else. And that's when I want to talk about a hairstyle that I believe every woman should consider before getting a bob. The personal touch bob. Not chasing trends, not fitting into any preset mold, but designed based on you. Not a magazine, not a model, but a length that suits your face, your hair density, the time you have each morning. A hairstyle that doesn't play a role. A hairstyle that truly lives with you. And I'll tell you why I love it so much. Style 2, the personal touch bob. A hairstyle. Not from a magazine, but from you. Some hairstyles look beautiful in photos, but they don't always work on your head. I say this because I've seen too many women over 55 walk into the salon with a printed photo from Pinterest or Glamour. And every time, the first thing I do isn't cute, it's ask. Ask about how they care for their hair daily. Ask if they have a blow dryer handy. Ask when was the last time they felt truly confident. Because I know that if I don't understand those things, Even the most beautiful hairstyle will fail. The personal touch bob is the style I believe should be the starting point for every change. No fixed template, no standard length. Just one principle: it has to suit you, your face, your hair texture, the way you live your life every day. Elaine is a perfect example. At 59, newly retired, with slightly wavy hair and an oval face, she told me she just wanted to wash her hair, dry it quickly, and go. No mousse. No round brush. No fuss. I gave her a bob cut just past her chin, keeping her natural waves, with layers adjusted so it would frame her face without needing styling. Nothing complicated, but when she looked in the mirror, Elaine smiled. And I knew she saw herself in it, not someone else. Here's the thing: so many people walk into a salon with expectations based on a photo, not on themselves. They don't tell me their wrist aches when they blow dry, that their eyes aren't sharp enough to part their hair perfectly every morning, that after 60, they don't want a hairstyle that drains their energy. And when those things are overlooked, even the most logical hairstyle is still wrong. The personal touch bob doesn't start with a photo. It starts when you're honest about yourself. It's you saying, I need a hairstyle I don't have to negotiate with every morning. It's a choice based on reality, not expectations. I've always believed that when a woman feels her hairstyle is right, she doesn't have to try. She walks into a cafe, sits down, and feels natural. No checking the mirror, no fixing her bangs, no thinking, I wish I'd styled it differently today. Just simply, I feel good, I feel like me. And if you're looking for a bob that can help you start fresh, not in the sense of a total makeover, but in the sense of finding your own rhythm again, then the personal touch bob is a great place to start. Because when you have a hairstyle crafted for you, you'll realize you don't need to be elaborate to be beautiful. You just need to be right. But if you're someone who loves defined lines, a bit of edge, a bit of lift at the cheekbones, and a bit of structure to highlight your facial bones, then the next style will excite you a lot more. Style 3, A-line bob. Directing the gaze upward and enhancing your natural features. Once you've found a hairstyle that fits your lifestyle, many people start to focus on the next thing, the shape of their face. Not to change it, but to adjust how it appears in the mirror. And when a woman tells me she wants to look sharper or less weighed down, I know right away she's not just talking about her hair, she's talking about the feeling of gravity, the sense that her face is sagging. In those cases, I think of the A-line bob. The A-line bob is designed to draw the gaze upward. Technically, it's a cut that's shorter in the back and gradually lengthens toward the front. But visually, it's a guide starting from behind the ears, following the jawline, accentuating the cheekbones, lightening the lower face, and making the entire silhouette look sharper without being harsh. Carla was someone who experienced this vividly. At 64, she came to me after a bad haircut elsewhere. Her previous style made her feel like her face looked longer, with puffed out cheeks and no focal point. Sitting in the chair, her first words were, I feel like my face is sinking, like nothing's holding it up. She wasn't wrong. The previous cut was straight across, almost parallel to her shoulders, pulling her entire face downward, especially around the lower jaw. I suggested a gentle A-line. The back was cut higher, not too short, to maintain softness. The cut started just behind the ears, with a subtle angle that drew the eye diagonally toward her chin. Not too dramatic, not too sharp, just enough to give her face a foundation. And when she looked in the mirror after the cut, Carla said something I still remember to this day. I thought I had to change my face, but maybe I just needed to change how my hair falls. The most important thing about the A-line is a common misunderstanding, sometimes even among stylists. They start the cut from the middle of the nape. The result is a hairstyle that becomes a stark V shape at the back, with the ends sticking out sharply, like hooks. That's not an A-line. That's a discordant notch. A true A-line starts from behind the ears because that's where the face's contours begin to lift. When the hair follows that direction, the face instantly feels lifted. For older women, when facial muscles start to soften with time, this hairstyle subtly balances the visual effect without relying on anything artificial. It's just a cut, but a cut in the right direction. What I love most about the A-line is the sense of lift, not just geometrically, but psychologically. When you see a hairstyle that neatly frames your face, gently draws the eye upward, and creates definition around the chin and cheeks that you hadn't noticed before, you don't just feel sharper, you feel brighter, more confident, lifted, both in the mirror and within yourself. And if you're someone who likes subtle structure, intentional lines that aren't overstated, then the A-line bob could become a part of you rather than something you have to adapt to. However, if you're looking for an even shorter bow bone that almost grazes your cheekbones, and you want to emphasize your eyes, cheekbones, and a direct gaze, then the next style is worth considering. But be cautious, because that length isn't for everyone. Style 4, cheekbone bob. When length is a double-edged sword. After talking about the A-line bob, where the cut acts as a subtle lift for the face, the next style focuses on a very specific point, the cheekbones. The cheekbone bob, as its name suggests, stops right at that spot. It draws attention to the mid-face where light hits, where you might apply a touch of blush, where your eyes and the curve of your cheeks meet. But precisely because of this, it leaves you no place to hide. I recall a specific case. A client came in with a very clear reference photo, a bob that reached the cheekbones, framed the chin, with soft side-swept bangs. The style was stunning on the model, but her real face was round, with a short, slightly wide chin. After the cut, she looked in the mirror, paused for a few seconds, and said something not everyone would admit: "I look like a round ball with a tail." It wasn't about insecurity. It was because the hairstyle was working against her face, not with it. The cheekbone length is a sensitive one. If you don't get the proportions right, if you don't control the volume on the sides, if you don't add slight height at the crown or keep the sides sleek, this style will slice across your face like a ruler's edge. And instead of highlighting your cheekbones, it can make your entire face look wider, flattened, and unbalanced. The cheekbone bob suits those with long or oval faces, small chins, and moderately high foreheads. These are the structures that can support the cut at the cheekbone level, making the style look sharp and brightening the face. Conversely, if your face is already full or your cheeks tend to be slightly puffy, this length will expose what you might want to conceal. It's like a spotlight, you need to control the light, or it will reveal too much. I often advise clients to think carefully before choosing this style, because it has no buffer zone, no compromise. It's either spot on or completely off. And if it's off, it doesn't just make you look unlike what you expected, it can make you feel like you're wearing a hairstyle that doesn't belong to you. Many people ask me, is there a way to fix a cheekbone bob if it's been cut and doesn't work? The answer is yes, but you have to be ready to overhaul the entire structure. Reduce bulk on the sides, add volume at the crown, maybe introduce texture, or shift towards something closer to a pixie. But that also means you're no longer keeping the neat, defined essence of a bob. I'm not against the cheekbone bob. I just think it demands more than a photo can convey. It requires precision, suitability, and a face that can wear the style, because if you can't wear it, the hairstyle will wear you. And in that case, you're no longer in control of your own appearance. You become someone chasing the hairstyle instead of letting it walk with you. But if you still love the classic look, still adore a bob that gently hugs the face, still want soft bangs that don't feel heavy, there's a more timeless, softer, more adaptable style. And that style, to me, is always a safe yet captivating choice. The classic bob with bangs. Style 5, classic bob with bangs. The softness of the right choice. After discussing styles that demand specific conditions, from facial structure to a readiness to style every morning, sometimes my clients just want something simple, a neat, Livable bob that isn't overly fussy but still makes them feel cared for. The classic bob with bangs is exactly that kind of style. It's not flashy. It doesn't chase fleeting trends. But it has endured for decades for a clear reason. It gently hugs the face, creates a soft frame, and when cut correctly, it makes you look sharper, brighter, and more defined without requiring effort. I once cut this style for a woman named Martha, 61 years old with slightly fine hair, a low hairline, and a relatively wide forehead. She said, "I'm done with long hair, but I don't want it too short either. I need a style that, when I look at it, still feels soft." We chose a classic bob, cut to follow her jawline, with slightly tapered ends, not flipped out. The bangs weren't too heavy, parted slightly off-center, to reveal a bit of her forehead. That was it. But after the cut, Martha looked in the mirror and said, "I feel less tense. Like everything softened." The most important thing about the classic bob with bangs isn't the styling technique, it's the precise calculation of hair density, forehead placement, and the length needed to create balance. If you have a full face, you shouldn't opt for heavy, straight-across bangs that cover the entire forehead. They can make your face look shorter and wider. Instead, go for light, side-swept bangs, thinly layered, to let light pass through, creating a sense of openness and airiness. If your hair is sparse at the hairline, you need to accept that you can't achieve thick bangs like those in a reference photo. And if you try pulling hair from the crown to create bangs, the top will look noticeably thinner, throwing off the overall balance. I often use a simple test. I place a pen horizontally across the head where the bangs would start. The hair in front of the pen, that's all you have to work with for bangs. If it's too sparse, I'll opt for light layering or side-swept bangs, instead of trying to force thick bangs like in the photo. The classic bob with bangs is highly customizable. If you want to look more refined, let the bob extend just past the chin. If you want a more youthful vibe, you can go shorter, around chin level. But the key is the framage. It should hug the face enough to create a frame but not squeeze it. The bangs should soften but not cover everything. It all needs to be just right. What I love about this style is that it doesn't require a woman to perform. You don't need a silk dress, a lighted makeup mirror, or 5 styling products. You just need a comb, a mirror, and the right cut. And if there's one thing that always makes me confident recommending this style, it's this. It doesn't exhaust you to maintain, but it still makes you feel like you're taking care of yourself. Not for anyone else, not to fit in with anyone, but just to feel, I'm still choosing myself every day. You don't need to chase the hottest bob style. You just need a style that makes you look in the mirror every morning and think, this is me. Hair isn't meant to change you. It's the way you choose to express yourself at this moment, with this lifestyle, and as the person you've become. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Your hairstyle shouldn't make you feel like you're falling behind. It should make you feel like you're still actively choosing not to look younger, but to be closer to yourself. If these insights help you understand what you need, please leave a comment. Tell me about your hair, what you're looking for, or any experiences that didn't quite work out. I'm here to listen, and if you're considering a bob or simply want to rediscover that hair that feels like me, feeling the video next door will continue that journey with you. I'll meet you there.